Braden, are you there?
I am there. What's up?
I must ask you a question.
Yeah, go ahead.
Are you ready to talk little guts frisbee?
I am ready to talk a little guts frisbee. Are you ready to talk a little guts frisbee?
I think I'm ready to talk a little bit guts frisbee. Let's get into it.
Then let's talk some guts frisbee.
Let's go. Welcome back to the Bag Zone podcast, everyone.
Hello.
I'm of course your host Noah Gannon, here as always with the wonderful Braden Galisic. Braden, how you doing?
I'm great, man. The weather's nice. We've had a couple really, really solid days here in Marquette. The vibes are high. The sun is out. It was a little windy for practice yesterday, but I was outside for the first time this year, putting the cleats on, which was pretty spectacular.
And as always, remember the official stance of this podcast is that wind is terrible and it should go
Horrendous.
away.
It should leave
Minus the
immediately.
fact that I think our planet wouldn't work anymore if there wasn't wind, but like ignoring that fact.
No, the planet, the Earth would stop. I
Uh,
don't know what that looks like, but
Yeah. So recently, actually, a fun little story. I was throwing the other week. My fence that I've been throwing at and chronicling a saga of now has like girls softball leagues there,
oh,
which means it's no longer my throwing fence.
oh
I'm
no.
actually pretty sad about it. But I went to one of the local like soccer fields with a disc golf park that I usually throw out in the summer, but the soccer nets weren't up yet. So all I have is a lacrosse net.
Okay. Yeah.
Talk about accuracy.
You
Like
got a hit. Yeah.
that thing is skinny.
Yeah, dude.
Uh, but I was working on just a random fish hook, like messing around trying to figure out how. There's one guy from Japan who we both love, like his fluidity in throwing
Oh,
and his
incredible.
motion, who
Yeah.
is like super cool. And in general, for anyone at home, like go watch old Japan Guts videos. They usually have like one or two a year that the official federation will put out. But there are some old guys from Japan who just have unreal fish hooks. Like they move so much. It's inside, so it's not even wind aided. And I was like, what if I could do this? Like try and figure it out. Constantly missing this lacrosse net, by the way.
Oh, yeah.
Like,
Well, and from 45 feet too. That's
and like I was turning around because to make it look cool.
yeah.
Because
You got to look cool.
honestly, I don't know how to throw one if I don't turn around. Like it's the only shot I can't throw just straight on. Uh,
So
but
your hips moving you spin clockwise for that then.
yes, yes. To go back to the hula hoop conversation. Um, but I had a random bystander like watch for a few throws and like uh, I was I was mostly throwing to like work off some stress and so like I've got the AirPods in, like I'm in my own world. There's like no one in this field and a guy with his dog walks by and watches me for a few minutes and then like came over and I went to like pick up my frisbees and he was like, there's this Bruce Lee quote that I would think would be helpful to you. And I was like, "What? Like, what is happening
Where
right
do you
now?"
go from this?
Yeah, and he was like, "Yeah, Bruce Lee talks about how there's two paths. There's what we intend to do, and there's what we want to do. And if we focus too much on our intention, we'll never get to do what we want to do." And he's like, "Just think about that. I think that'd help you out." And I was like, "Hang on." Like, and I thought about it, and I think the point is like if you're focusing too much on form and like trying to fit a rigid structure, like you rob your body of the ability to figure it out yourself. And so I
Okay.
was like, you know what? Let's just however these next batch of frisbees go, if they're like 2 feet, if they're upside down, it doesn't matter. Just like stop thinking about it and just like loosen up. It totally worked. It got way better. Like I'm so pumped to throw like this now. And
Thank you,
who
old
knows? It
man.
might be like golf. Like the next time I go and try and throw, it's gonna be terrible.
Could be, but hey, what a legend that guy is.
Yeah,
Hey?
I was like, dude. And my first instinct too was like, can we get this guy in a line?
Yeah,
Like,
that's so sick. But also just to like have the balls to just approach you with this quote.
yeah. And I was like, I was curious of like, there's a couple people I've met who have heard of Guts Frisbee randomly, and I was like, does he recognize the sport? Like, is it about to be like, oh yeah, I saw that sport in college, but haven't seen it in a long time, or
Yeah.
like, I had a friend who played, or like I used to play back in the day, and it was like, No, I'm just here to drop like some sick wisdom on this
And
this
then leave.
youngster.
Do nothing about it ever again.
Yeah, and it's just like dude that gave me a fist bump and then was like, "Yeah, man, have a good day." And I
What
was
a
like, "That's crazy, dude."
legend. What a beauty. Was it a cute dog?
Oh yeah, it was a husky, like just
Oh,
adorable husky.
oh,
And I was like, "Yep, this is great."
that's awesome.
I
Did
felt
you,
really awkward at first of a dude just watching me throw frisbees for 3 or 4
yeah,
minutes.
how do you respond to that? How did you, like, did he, like, tap you on the shoulder or, like, did you see him
I,
coming?
I
Like,
I could tell he was like once I had finished my round of throwing, he like started to approach because he was standing on like the sidewalk next to the field,
sure.
and I was like, clearly this person wants to engage in a conversation, so I like took my AirPods out and was like, all right, who knows what's gonna happen next? Like anything's
Were you
possible.
throwing bad? Like, were they,
I was throwing vertical at first, like
yeah,
I
but, like,
could not get it to turn up all the way,
I'm
and so
thinking,
I was like trying to think about form and like just really think about it, and it wasn't helping too much.
I'm trying to think how, because in my mind, if this is someone that doesn't know the game of guts, he's not gonna know what the fuck vertical is. So it's
No,
not like he's watching the discs and is like, oh, these have not flipped over.
right.
Something is going wrong.
I don't know if like my body language gave off that I was not satisfied with what I was doing
Oh,
or
that
like
could
what was
be.
happening. But like
That could be.
dude had the read. Like he
He
was
just
spot
knew,
on.
hey? Wow. The
And
stones on that man to
I was like,
just,
dude, I don't like if I ever meet that guy again, I want to be like, dude, that like really helped.
yeah, you turned
Like
my life around. You.
watch like all of a sudden my fish hook is like top 5 shot in the game, like
Oh,
uncatchable. And it's all just because some random guy was like, hey, just stop thinking for a little bit
yeah,
and like
just throw,
trust your
yeah,
body.
yeah.
Like throw how you want to throw it.
I know some people like that. There's not like they'll just sometimes you got to find that balance of like not thinking about things and like not thinking hard enough, but like also trying to comprehend what's happening. It's like it's got to be almost second nature to where you don't need to think about it and it will just happen because you've
Yeah.
overthought, overanalyzed, which I guess kind of counterintuitive to what this Bruce Lee quote is, but
Well,
yeah, this guy.
and I think that's the point of like intention can only get you so far.
Sure, yeah.
Or like what was it from Oppenheimer? Like theory can only get you so far. We don't know if we're gonna, you know, blow up the atmosphere until we actually detonate a nuclear bomb. Like there's like a 0.0000001% chance it happens, but like it's not zero.
See,
So like,
I never saw Oppenheimer.
oh
I
dude, well,
see.
as soon as
Well,
you have
I meant to go
four
watch it.
hours.
Yeah, right. And I never watched Barbie either. Like I completely whiffed on that whole
No,
like
I only
Barbenheimer
have
thing.
the yeah, I only have the Inheimer of
Ah,
Barbenheimer. Um, but basically, like, I think if you don't have an intention, it's harder to find what you're looking for.
mm,
But it's like you can't
true.
solely be focused on the how. Like at some point, you just have to do it, and then have that impact how you're or like what you actually do in the end.
So
But yeah, if anyone's
Nike
trying
and
to learn a
Bruce
new
Lee.
shot, like after you're starting to figure it out, at some point, just let your body go and see what happens. And like, it might not be right, but if you overthink it too much, you're just going to stop yourself from actually like achieving what you set out to do.
Just do it. That's all. That's Nike got it right somehow. Just do it.
Is that a Michael Scott quote?
Uh,
Just do it,
just do it. It could be.
Nike.
Well,
Michael
yeah,
Scott.
yes, and that's like the Wayne Gretzky quote.
That is
That
exactly what I
it's
was referencing,
yes. Okay, good. I'm glad we were on the
purposefully
same.
incorrectly.
I'm glad we were on the same wavelength there.
Yeah, and just like the great one, let's talk about some nicknames, Braden.
Let's talk about some
How's that for a
nicknames.
segue?
That's nice. The Great One, is that the best nickname ever?
It is. Oh, I totally railroad this segment. Oh well, we'll get to it later
Well, that's
because I want
fine.
to talk about it, but we'll queue it up later.
Or we could just
I,
stop. We've mentioned it. Let's talk about it first. Let's talk about it first.
that's
Hold
good. I
on.
want to take two on my
Yeah,
segue.
let's talk about it first. Here, we'll go back. You ready? Here's what we'll do. Guess what? We haven't gotten there
Look
yet.
at that. It's like nothing happened. No, I was thinking about it as we were trying to like queue up what to talk about the next like month or so. And I was trying to figure out based off of our tier list later how to kind of tie it into the episode theme. and "Oh, the Places You'll Go" came up. I don't know if you have ever read this book. It's a Dr. Seuss book or got it. I like a lot of people have.
Yeah. I have a well. So you probably got this too. Our band teacher, Dr. Ludwig, at the end of like for high
Oh
school
my,
graduation in
yeah.
band class would read this for the seniors,
Oh, dude,
which was always
tears.
special.
That
Yeah,
was the biggest cry fest I think of high school
yeah,
graduation, like period,
yeah.
was that. But yeah, totally forgot. You just unlocked like a super core memory for me. But yeah, so I got that as a graduation gift from our orchestra director, and then also pit
Cool.
director,
Yes.
Mrs. Peterson.
Yep.
And her and I think the rest of the music staff had written like really kind notes of like encouragement, etc., for whatever I was gonna do forward in life. And like it's a cherished book in my collection that I have on my bookshelf. But it got me thinking as we hit like graduation season, like what was your best gift from high school graduation? Because college you just like go out to dinner or
Yeah.
like some relatives might give you a little money, but like high school is the like you get a bunch of stuff from people one. And I have one if you don't have one like coming off the
I
dome.
I've got nothing right now, so I'll let you rip.
Yeah, I have one. A theater friend's parents who like very much when I was doing theater was like like younger sibling, and her family was super nice, got me a laundry basket and a set of towels. It was like three, I think it was four like shower towels, two hand towels, and like some washcloths
Yeah.
to go like in the um like laundry basket. I still have the towels and I still use the laundry basket.
Yeah.
And
What a
this is
practical gift.
like this is a decade later. And it was like, yeah, you know what I didn't think about? Like I had a clothes hamper, but I was like, no, I use my parents' laundry baskets. Like it was so practical of like I didn't buy towels in college. Like
No.
the towel set lasted me. And it was like I because I remember like I ran into them after I graduated and I was like, honestly, that was the best, most useful gift I've ever gotten.
Yeah.
Of
Practical
like
gifts are terrific.
yeah, so if you're like really stumped on like a family friend or like a relative for their high school graduation, like practical, you will forget you need this life gifts are like the way to go. Cause I remember that way more than like the cool knickknack thing
Yeah.
that went by the wayside after like a year and ended up in a drawer.
You got like a fidget spinner or something, and there's
I was definitely not
no, I wasn't
young
either.
enough to
But
be
that's
getting
like,
to get a fidgy spinny at the end of high school.
see, I don't have, and this probably is. I feel bad because I'm probably forgetting something that someone got me that I just don't because it was a long time ago.
I just
Uh,
remember what happened at your grad party.
yeah, we had a nice grad. I had a really nice grad party. The setup was nice. The
Dude
weather,
played
from what I
so much
remember,
can
is
jam.
great. Yeah, I mean, it was
So much
terrific.
can jam at your grad party.
Yeah, shout out my family. My parents did a really good job at setting all of it up, and I'm really grateful for that. And I guess I don't know. I my grad present, whether I wanted it or not, was the high school tennis rager on the top of Sugarloaf that happened that night,
Oh,
and
oh, legendary.
the day after was rough. Which is maybe why I don't remember a whole lot of my graduation
Yeah,
party to begin with, because
that amount of time is
it's all just blocked out by
so clouded.
Aiden throwing a tent. Um, yeah, so I don't know. I mean, it was great. I loved it. I love seeing other people, and I'm very grateful that I have that amount of people that came
Dude,
and showed love.
also,
But
just like weirdest time period in your life is the like 3 years where you have so many grad parties.
yeah, well,
Like,
and those just turn into like weddings a few years down the
yeah,
line.
but it's like it's way worse, dude.
It is.
Ben Wright and I, our senior year of high school, like it
That's a
was,
name.
like a few years before, a few years after, Marquette tennis legend,
That's
like
a
all
name.
around great guy. Could not get him to play guts frisbee. I tried several times.
No.
Um, but there was like 2 or 3 Saturdays. where we scheduled out 6 or 7 grad parties and just carpooled. And it
Yeah.
was like, "Oh, well, we're all invited to these same 5." And then oddly enough, it's somewhat Guts Frisbee related because his younger brother comes to watch Wisconsin. But we ended up at Hunter Shaneberger's grad party, who I was not invited
Wow.
to.
Yeah.
Because like, Hunter and I had played a few sports, but, like, not that close in high school. Um, but Ben played soccer with him, and it was like, "Oh, it's gonna be the classic, like, well, we're gonna be early like, at the beginning of this grad party because another one's ending, and, like, we're catching the end of that one." And we were the only ones there besides his parents, like, they hadn't set up yet.
Oh,
So we were sitting in the Shane Burger's kitchen
I love
for,
that.
like, 20
I
minutes.
love that.
Like, their relatives hadn't showed up yet
That's
for the
so
grad
great.
party. And
Was the real question
it
is,
was
was
like,
Holden around?
I don't know. That's why I was gonna say, like, Holden comes and watch Guts now. Like, I don't think he ever plays, but I was like, Holden was somewhere, but I was like, just being like Hunter's parents, I think I'd met his dad like once for like middle school track or something, but like didn't know his family. And I was like, Ben, we got to plan these out a little better
We got to
going
make sure we're not the
forward.
first people at
Like
these
that
parties.
was because usually you're like, oh yeah, you run into the same 15 people from the previous grad party, and it was just like we were coming from a completely different thing, and it was like, well, that was fun and awkward.
That's yeah, correct.
Um,
Yeah.
but yeah, dude, wild times.
Speaking of wild times, how about that transition last time, which we'll now
I,
use
I
this
was
time?
I was gonna say, speaking of great nicknames, Wild Thing's pretty cool.
That is pretty cool. Wild Thing would be sick.
um, but yeah, dude, soapbox moment.
Go on.
And I think I brought this up before. We need to bring nicknames back into just like culture in general. I think we touched on it with like Sky King and like a few of the old frisbee players who had like super cool nicknames. But like it came up at work. Like at work, everyone their work shirts used to have their nickname on it, and it was like you'd get us like I think one guy literally just would ask 3 questions like the old manager, and then you just got assigned a nickname based on that. And I was like, yeah, everyone called him that from then on.
You
And it
took like
was
a
like,
BuzzFeed quiz, and it's
yeah,
just like
pretty much
spit
like
out.
it was the at work BuzzFeed article that
That's
gave you a
awesome
nickname. But it's like, dude, why don't we have cool nicknames in frisbee anymore? And how can we like get back on the horse?
because we have to get back on the horse. But I think nicknames are great. I do what I can. You guys are tough. Like I've known you forever, and unfortunately, you never really had a nickname, and I never really had a nickname either. But like Luke, I'm trying to get in the habit of calling Luke Chips because I think that's
I'm
great.
gonna I'm gonna
Um,
force myself. The problem is I feel like Chips is like his golf nickname. I was
yeah.
thinking about this a little bit for the topic. Like, I want to call Luke Tweed because of the amount
Oh,
of twisted tea that he consumes at frisbee, especially with the visor. I'm like, no, dude,
he
Luke's
does,
just
doesn't
Tweed.
he? He
Like,
does, doesn't he?
I was like, that's what I think about when I think about Luke. Is like, yeah, dude, it's the twisted tea visor at a golf tournament and like his Berks.
Yeah, dude. But like, I do what I can to try and give people nicknames or have fun ways to refer them other than their name. Aside from the people that already had like pre-existing nicknames or I don't know. Um,
Yeah, I
but I
think our
I
other
never had one
problem
really.
is like our like friends. We got in like the just calling like their last name. Like Aiden is forever Mr. Claffy to me.
Oh, yes,
Like
correct. Yes.
I don't know if it's like I think your dad has always called him that, and it was inherited, or at least that was always the take I got as I
Yes.
have like parachuted into this friend group more so as we got older. Um, but it's like that is as much of what we would do for nicknames versus like which isn't a nickname. It's just
No, it's
using a
just
proper
your
name
last.
instead of a
Yeah, that's
first
all it
name.
is.
But
I
yeah,
do
I think
call
it's
Michael Halverson is the general. Um,
yeah, he is.
I don't know. I can't remember how I got there, but he's still like in my contact as general. And
That's great.
Aiden is just Mister spelt out. I don't.
Just
Yeah.
which is correct. It
Yes.
is. I think that's his actual first name.
Oh, Garrett Lewis had a really funny nickname. It was Stacy underscore Smom, like the song, like Stacy's
Oh
mom,
yeah, dude.
except
I think he's still in my phone contact as
as
Stacy's mom.
Stacy. Yeah. Yes. So there have been some fun ones in the past.
Honestly, that's the thing is like tennis gave us the avenue to come up with good nicknames. Like
Yes, it did.
I think Luke knows Birdman a little bit better, but like
Oh, I know
that,
Bailey Inch. Don't don't.
so like yeah, it's like things like, oh yeah, dude, we had Birdman, and it was like, okay, what other tennis nicknames? And I'm like, oh, that was it. Like the rest of them, Sandy got mad at us for saying or didn't catch on.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
But it's like we should have had more. I feel like coming out of that like culture of
Yeah.
just making random things up for people.
True. Well, and speaking of, I've written down a few of at least my favorite, and I think you've came to it. One of my favorites ever that has happened recently, and I think maybe in part because I had a hand in like assigning it to this person, was we've given Brian Belkowski the nickname Paul Hollywood, um,
Oh yeah,
which I think
which
is just Paul Hollywood. It has nothing to do with his name. Like it's not just a shortened version of something. It's
no, it's an
so
alter ego.
yes, correct. Paul Hollywood.
Yeah, and that's the like it came about in a good way of like it's a story from when we were out in Australia as a group, and it was like cool, like a bunch of us were there, like we had a good time, something happened and we were like, "Oh, Brian's Hollywood." And
Yes.
we're like, "Okay, we got to expand upon this." And it was like, "Oh, no, 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 that's Paul Hollywood right
Yeah,
there."
first and last name.
And it's like, dude, it's stuck.
It's like Toledo Joe, you know? I don't know. It's like
Yeah, and it was like, yeah, shout outs to Tom Marisich, by the way, for correcting us about why he's called Toledo
yeah,
Joe.
true. Thank you, Tom. Appreciate that.
It's some great history there. Read the comments of our last episode to find out why. But it was one of those like organic moments that I think we just the frisbee community has enough of, and it's not like the broader community as a whole. It's like no, it's like you and your teammates of like something funny happens when it's like Friday night and we're all like bobbling at Tanner's in the dark, and like it's those situations where you get a funny nickname that pops up and it sticks, and then you have to tell the story to other people in the community to get it to like go further.
True.
I know another one we have listed here that I don't know as well is Rocket Man for Stevo.
Oh, I see. I hear
Uh,
people. One of my like early guts memories is I don't know who, but there's always someone. I was never able to put like a name to the voice, but whenever he threw or like caught, there was always like one or two people from the crowd that would just yell Rocket Man or like
which is awesome.
yeah, or like he'd go to throw and like I don't know, Rocket Man would come up, which is a fucking kick ass nickname, dude.
Also, like with that thumber, yeah, that's
Yeah,
correct.
it's so sick. Also just a great Elton John song. Like you just can't go wrong with that nickname.
What's funny is that like the Key 1.5 does it. It's just I never remember the full names for people of like Steve-O. I don't know if his name's Steve or Steven. I think it's Steven,
I
but
think it's
like
Steven.
I can't not say Steve-O. Like that
No.
feels wrong. He's
Yes.
gonna be like 60, and I'm gonna be like, yeah, that's Steve-O, and they're gonna be like, he's Grandpa Steve-O now. Like, I don't know what you mean. There's no other name. Or like, I always forget that Al is short for Alex. I'm like, no, that's Big
It's
Al.
just Al, you know? What do you mean
And
it's
then eventually
Alex?
it was medium-sized Al, but it's like it's just Al, man. Like, I don't know what you mean of like Alex Nettle. I don't know that
I don't
guy.
know that
Like,
guy.
he doesn't exist.
Albert, on the other hand. Now that I know Al.
Oh yeah. But that's the thing of like, yeah, we just have like random kind of nicknames and then the other ones we have are like weird. Like we all call Ryan Scott Dad,
Which is
which at this
incredible.
point is a nickname.
Yeah.
And like in his defense, or not in his defense, but defending the nickname, dude's leaned in hard. like, Ryan Scott is fully accepting that he is a guts dad at this point, and I love it. Like it's my favorite energy that he gives off.
Which is great because we're all aware of dad strength when you have a child. So maybe he'll get
Oh
like
yeah,
extra gut strength now that he is dad.
yeah. I mean, he's like a communal dad. Like that's so much extra dad strength.
Yes. Legend.
Which is what I'm going to tell him the next time I need him to throw hard for a point.
Please do.
Just
Just not
remember
against
all of your
us.
children.
Don't
like,
remind him when we play him.
no, no, no. I would be like, no, remember, you just have two kids at home, and like they don't care about frisbee that much. One of them's a Wolfpack fan, so actually she wants us to win.
True.
Um, but yeah, I So I've put together a couple nicknames for you, Braden, and a few for myself that we've either heard or had in the past. And I don't know if any of these will stick, but if one does, that'd be super cool.
Yeah,
So the
go on.
first one I have for you is Shimmy, and then I added Shimmy G to
I
it
see
to
that.
make you sound like a jazz saxophone player.
Oh, the G was new.
But I
Last
mean,
I looked, it was just shimmy. When did you add the G? You stuck that
like
bad boy
5
in
minutes
there.
before
Yeah, okay,
recording.
all right, yeah, okay. Hell yeah.
Hey, nothing wrong with sneaking in a little G.
No, you snuck in the G.
But I was thinking of well, you're known for the shoulder shimmy. Like we've brought it up a lot. It's
Yeah.
been more tame. But I was like, oh, that's a random oh yeah, I met Shimmy in college, and they're like, what? And you're
Who
like,
is
I don't remember
shimmy?
why you call it Shimmy, but your last name's a little bit hard because like 3 syllable last names are not great for pairing with a nickname that isn't your real
No.
name as much.
Uh-uh.
And I was like, we'll just take the first letter, like G. And I was
G.
like,
Easy.
no, dude, you could see Shimmy G at the lounge, like
Smoking a
on a Friday
cigar.
night. Yeah,
Yeah, dude.
so I was like, okay, that's the first one. The second one, which I think you do better yourself for a nickname
Mm.
on the list, but the chef with the steaker, just like seasoning it, like cooking that thing up,
Steak and
like
eggs, medium rare, baby.
just you're in the kitchen just whipping
Ooh,
some up
cooking.
that no one's gonna catch.
Call me Minwoo Lee. I don't know if you get that reference. But
I
but the Quick
not as
Nine
much as I
boys will
should,
get that reference. Let them cook. Shout out to the Quick Nine boys.
but
Yeah,
and
dude.
then the last one, which is a little bit of mix of playing goalie. My favorite goaltender currently in the league now that Flowers retired, and the fact that you work for Northern,
True.
and I'm like, dude, he's the cat.
The cat.
Like
Also,
little.
big fan of the animal cats.
Also, yeah, you are a cat person,
Love me a good
and have
cat.
always had. I mean, what did you have? Like 5 cats at one
There
point?
was a time in my parents' house we had 6. There is 5 currently.
Yeah, I'm like big cat family. Like it fits because goalies are like you got Felix the cat, Potvin, like Vassie's big cat,
Yep,
and I was like, also, dude, he's Mr. Northern, so like
true. Oh,
big cat
what?
works.
No, you're gonna have to help me out here. Mighty Ducks, the goalie, Julie. She was the cat
Um.
too. Fuck, hold on, I'm
Oh.
gonna look this up. Hold on.
Oh my god, I was trying to think of the original goalie, like Goldberg or what's his name
Yeah,
that they
yeah,
that they duct
Goldberg,
taped
dude.
to the.
Yeah, that's a crazy scene. Uh,
While Braden's looking this up, the other one as a tag team nickname for us would just be Simpatico. Because I feel like oftentimes when we are chatting or coming up with ideas for the podcast, we will simultaneously text each other basically the same thing,
we do
like without
frequently,
reading it. Like it's happened a shocking amount,
frequently. Yeah, dude.
and I'm like, dude,
Julie the cat Gaffney,
oh yeah, like
banger.
dude, it fits for goalies. Like I don't know, you're like, oh, dude, cat like reflexes. Like it works well for a guts player.
God, D2. Shout out Mighty Ducks. When was the last time you watched Mighty Ducks?
It's been a minute.
It's been
It's
far too long.
as a person who understands the rules of hockey, it's painful.
True fact. But as a child,
Why did
unbelievable movie
Oh
trilogy.
yeah, why did he take his helmet off for a penalty shot?
That's my favorite bit
It's
in the
not
whole thing.
allowed.
Also, the Bash brothers just took penalties. They just
Oh
interference
yeah,
the whole time.
dude, I was gonna say, I was like, did you? I remember they like bar down broke down how many penalties were missed on the final scene alone, and it's like 17,
Also,
including like game misconduct. Like the
yeah.
coach got
Oh,
kicked out in the first period.
so many.
Like intent to injure penalty
Oh, it's
too,
terrible.
where like the kid gets taken out, and it's like,
Terrible.
oh yeah, it's awful. Also, you do the math of like Gordon Bombay had like the greatest like
He was
minor
insane.
league hockey season ever,
Ever.
like ever, and it's like no, he could never make it because he didn't score a penalty shot
Oh
one
my
time.
god.
And it's like, dude, if a kid put up those numbers, like full ride immediately.
Also, you're just never getting away with a knuckle puck. Like
Oh god,
you just don't have time to set that up.
I mean, it occasionally happens in the wild,
Yeah,
and
but it's like
it's cool,
you're
but
playing
like
the 40
no,
and over
no one,
men's league and it just
yeah,
flutters from the point.
it's bad. It's a bad shot. It doesn't go fast, and the
No.
puck doesn't knuckle like that.
No.
Like, if anything, it just makes it a lot easier to save. Oh gosh, we already got way off
I love it
topic.
though. Or like the flying
Uh,
V? You aren't
yeah,
doing that.
no,
That's not happening.
dude. unless you're Aiden Claffey, because I could see him asking for teammates as a gag to get into V behind him when he throws a flip. Like we all mimic the Euro step with him.
Yes, and it just throws everyone off. We could all, however, quack.
Oh, dude, we've quacked
We have
before
quacked
as
before, haven't
a
we? Yeah.
yeah, that was like the earliest wolf pack. We quacked into or we packed? Did we I don't
I don't know. Did we pack instead of quack?
no, we definitely quacked. There was a hard cue. um, dude, also, okay, I'm just spitballing here. How do you feel? I think Aiden Claffey is the peacock. Like
Yeah, I like that. Yeah.
anytime he throws a flipper, he's peacocking. Like
He does have a very showy run up, which is nice.
yeah, he's a very very showy guy.
I
Not
love
in a
it.
negative way,
No,
just
a
in a
great way.
hey, look at me. I've got all these bright colors and I'm fun to watch kind of way.
All right, Peacock. He's gonna have to. Oh, he's just yeah, Peacock. That's great.
Yeah, he's just peacock.
Peacock.
And Ryan Morrissey, if he ever comes back to Cuts Frisbee, will still be known as a pylon. Like that's never gonna change. Just like he was on the point.
Yeah, all of the
Just throwing heat for no reason.
catching strays. Right.
Uh,
Ryan hasn't even thought about guts in like 10 years, and he's
no, gosh, no.
catching
He's ever
strays.
heard of this podcast
No.
just getting torn apart. He's been in like 4
Oh my
episodes.
god, he has, hasn't he? That's insane. All right, you've got a couple
All right.
for yourself, hey?
Yeah, so one of these is a reference to childhood. Sandlot was one of my favorite movies, and I did in some ways evoke Smalls, the titular character from that. Um, the other one, on the more gag side, uh, I was a small child, and my brother is very tall, and all of his friends were quite tall, especially when they were younger. And I'm like 4.5, 5 years younger than these guys. So when I was like 4 and 5, I legitimately just went up to their waist, like I was half their size. So they just called me Pants for a couple years because I was pants sized, which
Pants.
like I think it
That's
was the last time I legitimately
terrific.
had a nickname. Um, and then the other one I have is I'm trying to remember who said it. Someone said it in Australia of like since we played with a lot of people in Australia who we'd never played with before, and someone called me the tactician,
That's sick.
which was very much doing what we do on Wolfpack and like the
Yeah.
types of conversations that we have. But I was like, I can't give myself that nickname, but I want people to call me that
That's
so bad.
so sick.
I feel like that's so sick. And it might have been Will Walden, who like that's the perfect like Will one liner
Yeah, dude.
of just like we're sitting here at 10:30 in the morning, all still jet lagged and like dealing with crazy wind. And it was like I was talking with Connor about what we should do, and Will just walked by and was like, "Dude, that's the tactician right there." And
Hell yeah,
I was
dude.
like, "Yeah." And then the other one, which actually has a crazy story to it, is the professor, um, which I found out was my dad's nickname as a kid.
That's gas.
Uh, we were at a Marquette Guts tournament. It would have been 2 or 3 years ago. Um, but my dad couldn't play on Sunday because he had a migraine and was sick and was home. But there was this old guy of like, hey, someone said he's looking for like Dan Gannon, like used to know him back in the day. And it was an older guy who worked for my grandparents at the right place, or what
Yes.
we now call the right place. Like
Yep.
my family used to own that, and then there was a bar attached to it. When my dad was growing up, so like he and his siblings worked there in high school. But this guy was like, "Yeah, I used to like work for your family business." And when my dad was like 10, he just like acted like a college professor. So a bunch of people started calling him the professor. And I was like, first of all, it makes complete sense. Like that is big Danny G energy.
I love that.
But I was like, I'd be game with that too. Like
Hell yeah.
I could go by that. It's got some like legacy to it.
Those are gas.
Um,
Yes. Okay,
but yeah, Braden, I know you've got a couple nicknames for me.
I do.
One I think is the closest thing to a nickname I actually have.
Yeah, well, and it's just like you will be this like forever for me, and that is either just like Cap or Captain. Like, well, Cap obviously being short for Captain because literally for my entire Guts career, it's it's the Captain. You know, you think well, and also how sick is that? Stevie Y is the captain. Like that's like
Yeah, no,
it's a sick nickname. Uh,
like anytime that you in whatever sport are known for being like, as much as I hate the Yankees, like Derek Jeter's known as like the captain just in
yeah,
Yankees like history, and it's like Stevie Y's the captain, like those types of nicknames where it's like, oh man, that's like if a community knows you as the captain, that's just like impressive.
yeah. So I mean, Cap is and it's easy. It's the one syllable. It rolls off. Hey Cap, what up, Cap?
Yeah, because everything else I have is multiple syllabled, so it's
Yeah,
like it's not an easy name either to just like cut into a one
no,
syllable name.
yeah. I also have this is much more of a if you're lucky enough to know this story, I'm not going to
Which it's never going to be said on this
we're not
podcast
putting it out ever. But if you are
ever.
lucky enough to know this story,
In
uh,
person, I will tell you.
yeah, yes,
And by that
on
I mean I will have Braden tell you because it's a way better version of how he tells it.
uh, which is either Bright Side or Killer, and I think I lean towards Killer because that just sounds sick.
Yeah, because in context, without context, you're like, oh, dude, killer. This guy's got to be really good, or like he's a beast on the field.
In reality, it is referencing the Killer's song, "Mr. Brightside." Um,
Yes,
which again, this is what one of my earliest, most core Guts Frisbee Road tournament memories ever. And again, if you have the privilege to know this story, that's great. If you don't and you want to know, you might
dude.
get lucky, and I will tell you if you
It's
ask me.
it's like and it's a full day of events.
It
Like
is,
just that Saturday and the result Sunday morning needs to be like told in full
yeah. So,
over the course of probably a half hour.
yeah. So there's Noah has a really fun memory for me. I don't know if he remembers it, but a really fun memory for me with this whole interaction
I the parts I remember, it's not fun.
revolving around the song Mr. Brightside by the Killers. So for you,
Which is still my like personal anthem. Like as a person,
that's
like
great.
the the results of the evening did not deter the fact that it is still like top 5 song in my life. And like if I ever need to get hype, I'm like Mr. Brightside is it. Actually, an aside, and why I like Killer Brightside so much is I was at a buddy's wedding that I was in like fresh out of college. We were like 23, and there was me and one other Michigan alum there, and like the university's kind of taken the song ever since that like viral moment in 2017 which I was in the big house for, and kind of where like Mr. Brightside all started for me.
Hell yeah. Yeah, that's pretty
but
special.
but we were at this guy like my buddy's wedding, and the song came on at the reception, and like I by myself amongst a group of people I've barely met just start like jumping up and down, singing every word, like shouting it. And the other guy who went to Michigan, who was also my age, across the dance floor, also started doing it, and we like found each other in the middle, and like just had a moment. And the song ended, and the groom walks up. He's like, "Gosh, you guys go to Michigan or something? Like crazy."
That's great. Piggybacking a little bit off of your you mentioned your dad and how you could have like this like lineage of nickname passed down. My dad had two fun nicknames. His father called him Ace and still like calls him Ace to this day,
Oh,
which
that's
is
awesome.
that's pretty sick. Like that's just
Especially like
fun.
a father son moment of like, yeah, I could see like having a kid and being like, no, dude, that's Ace.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's
So that's
super
fun.
cool.
So Ace is great. I always liked that. And then he got another nickname from work. Wow, did I shift the camera? He got another nickname from work when he used to work at Matthews. He got the nickname Grape, which funny enough fits into like
Crazy,
the grape juice that we now consume.
crazy.
Yeah. So the short story of it is there's this really old commercial that I've asked him and he's showed me. But there was a character in this commercial. It was a purple ape, like a gorilla, and the only words he said was grape ape, and he was grape, and his other buddy was ape.
See, this is the nicknames that I'm talking about. Of
Yeah,
like,
dude.
that's the dumbest, coolest way to get a nickname. Of just like, no, you guys look like Grape Ape from that commercial,
Yeah.
and it's like,
So
that's great, that's Ape.
so my his buddies call him grape. his dad calls him Ace, which is really cool. Which then transitions into my parents called me. Well, my mom called and still calls me Bear Cub, because like you know that little I'm her little bear cub. I don't know, but that's
Yep.
just morphed into like bear. And I was told I received the nickname Bear because I growled as a child. Um, and so
Just
Bear
gonna
stuck.
let that one
Yeah,
be right.
yeah. I was told I growled as a child. So, uh,
But also, like, you got blonde hair, like, could go by the Golden Bear, little
oh, little Jack
Jack
Nicholas.
Nicholas, little
Yeah,
Jack
dude.
reference.
Hello, Golden Bears is fun. Um, people have called me. People have called me like B. I just take
Yeah, the classic
the
B name,
yeah.
like,
Hey B, how are you B? What's up B? Yeah, I don't know. Which is great. Um, but I think if you want to talk guts related, the only one that I could really think of, and again, kind of goes back to my shot, which is the staker, is A1, like the steak
dude,
sauce.
it's so good.
A1, dude.
It's such a good nickname. The other
Yeah.
one I could think of is our gaming profiles and how those have
Yes.
progressed over the years.
So I've stuck with mine. Do you have one that you've like stuck with?
Uh, no, I've got like 3 is the problem. I've got my original one, which is how I'm gonna get a Shrek reference in here, which I told you I was gonna get a Shrek reference into this podcast. Because my Hearthstone name is still Shrek'd,
Yes.
because that was funny in 2016.
Oh, it's still
Uh,
funny to this day.
yeah, no, honestly, I think my, like, actual one is, like, Fitz G. Because, like, I don't know what it is about the name Fitz, but, like, if I ever moved to the West Coast and didn't know anyone, I would just say that's what people called me.
Fits.
Like, just
Yeah.
completely, like, be known by
Just
a
make
different
something
name to
up.
a bunch like, I would honestly I think it's so cool. Just, like, move out to a completely new area and be like, "Oh, yeah, like, my legal name's Noah, but people call me, like, Fitz," and, like, no one's ever called me that, and then be like, "Yeah, my middle name's Fitzgerald," which it's not, and just be like, "Yeah," just, like,
Just
make
gaslight
up a
people
story
into
and
it.
ride
That's
with
so
it.
sick. That would be fun. I don't
But,
know
yeah,
what
I'd
I
be
would
like,
ask
"I'd love to
people.
ride that."
That'd be nice. Yeah. So A1, steak sauce, steak and eggs, medium rare. I don't know. Anything steak related because of the staker I've always found amusing. But I also
Yeah,
think I
which is
can't
awesome.
like give myself a nickname. I I like giving people nicknames, so if I'm going to receive one, I feel like
And
if
I
you want to
think
call me
this is
something, you call me something, dude. I love it.
honestly, in my brain as we were talking about this, I was like, "Dude, radon would actually be kinda cool."
Radon.
And the reason I got there is I was like, "Well, people call him B for Braden, but no one calls him Raiden for Braden." And I was like, "Well, Raiden's pretty close to radon, which I think is an element."
Yeah,
And I
close
was like
enough.
yeah, and I was like, "I don't know if that is, like, cool or anything, but, like, that would
Works for
work."
me. Oh, so your gaming profiles I have stuck with and will continue to be. Well, I was just Braden in Hearthstone, which again,
Which
I didn't
rolls
have
off the tongue.
nicknames. Yeah,
Dude, innkeeper voice, great.
Braden.
So good.
But I have stuck with. Well, I have two variations. The main one is I will forever and always be Speedy Magoo,
Yeah, you are.
and then if
I think
that
that's your
is
Discord
yes,
too.
it is. But and then if that is taken, or like if I'm making a second account on something and I can't use Speedy Magoo, it just translates to Quickly McGee because it's like
Oh,
the same thing, just a
that's
different.
so good.
So if you ever see, and I've never once had it where, like how if you'll have a
Both
name
are taken?
and like like oh someone's already taken this name, so we'll add
Yeah.
numbers to the end of it. Never once has Speedy Magoo or Quickly McGee ever been taken and literally anything. So if you encounter either Speedy Magoo or Quickly McGee, I think I am the only one without numbers or anything else afterwards.
Dude, there's gonna be a moment now if, like, a new game comes out and I'm just, like, quickly
Quick,
making 2
Speedy
profiles, be
Magoo
like,
and Quickly McGee.
"Ha!" And then you come up with a 3rd clever one too that would fit.
Oh,
Um,
yeah,
but yeah, that's wonderful. Not to just hard cut to our next topic, but we have so much more to
we
cover
do, and we're oh my
with
god,
waning
yeah.
time in this episode,
Wow, have we rambled? Yeah, it's time to go. Hey.
which we got time. We got, like I've got a hockey game I gotta get to later, but
Yeah,
we
it's
can cover
whatever.
grounds quick. So this is just beautiful, by the way.
Wow, this is
This looks wonderful.
exceptional. So we're gonna have
Uh,
to like speed run this.
yeah, no, that's okay. We can talk about the things that are important to talk about. Also, we didn't put a header on this. This is our first ever tier list, and the tier list is going to be fields where we've played Guts Frisbee, or
Yes.
like the physical locations themselves.
Yes.
Hence why the episode is called "Oh, the Places You Will Go."
The frisbee fields.
Um, if you can interpret what field we're going to talk about next, I'm impressed because
Oh.
I have no idea what the gibberish at the bottom is. But we'll make it. We'll make magic out of nothing here, Braden.
So I'm gonna click and drag, and whatever comes up comes up. You ready?
Yeah, let's get it.
Okay. I mean,
Relevant. First
relevant.
of all,
Yes.
I will be making my first Barriga Gym practice the Sunday after this episode comes out, which I'm stoked for. Um, I'm gonna defer to you on this because my Barriga Gym memories are like voting and youth baseball. So like,
Oh.
wherever you want to put the Barriga Gym for Guts Frisbee, I will let you put the Barriga Gym with no objections.
I think. I think I'm gonna put it in B, and here's the reason. It's a great place, and it served its purpose well. Like we were able to practice over the winter and times where we couldn't normally, and it's done wonders. Like it had literally everything that we could have asked for. But
So it's the room of requirement.
the price, yeah, it's got the fence and everything.
I was gonna
Uh,
say, like, there was. I don't know if there was a fence before we talked about it. Like,
no,
that might have appeared as
because it
like
hurt
it,
us,
it
yeah.
required a fence.
But I think if something's gonna be A or above for me personally, I got to be able to wear cleats because like wearing cleats versus not wearing cleats is such like a like
Big
my
deal for
whole
you.
my whole shot depends on it.
Yeah.
And also the barricade, like you just slip around a little bit. Um, so like it was just a nice place. It's just a nice spot. So I think it's just a really nice place.
I have heard that the floors are a little slippery.
Yeah, a little
Like, it's
bit.
an older gym.
Yeah,
It's probably not as well maintained and like buffered like some of like high school gyms and stuff are.
right.
But
But in terms of the grand scheme
also,
of things, we were able to practice when normally we weren't able to.
yeah, which
So
is like awesome. And the
yes,
fact of like the Lotmans like doing all the work that they have to
yeah,
get the gym and
yes,
like people not have to pay for it is like fantastic.
yeah, really
So that's
nice.
super cool. All right, what do we got next?
All right, we're pulling and grabbing.
Oh,
Yeah, another
so
early.
we do have to caveat not just the Bothwell gym, but
Yes.
also the fields
Yep.
outside of Bothwell between Bothwell and Silver. Oh my God, what's the
Uh,
not Silver Creek?
no, but it
Something
looks
Heights.
just like it. No,
Yeah, because all the
you're
elementary schools look
close.
the same.
It starts with an S.
Not Sandy Knoll.
Nope,
That one.
where the
Superior Hills. There we go.
the
Superior Hills.
Huskies, dude. Roll
I
Huskies.
dude, the old Superior Hills Huskies. They did like the news
Yeah,
because
we
I've
did.
seen. I didn't go to Superior
Yes,
Hills,
we
but I've
did.
seen the newscast for Superior Hills.
Oh
Um,
my god, I wish I had access
so
to
I
those.
am super biased on Bothwell
I think I
because
am
the
too.
reason we got access to Bothwell for free was because my dad was a principal there for many, many a year.
Yep.
But like, for me, there's almost like a separate category above S of like would not be in this sport without this location.
And I think I agree cuz for me this is like the birthplace of in my mind Bothwell is like where it kind of all started for me.
Yeah, and it's like I've talked to a lot of people of like that's also like the generation above us of like when the O'Malley's guys started playing and like more guts got started again in Marquette. Like it was my dad opening up the gym when my brother and his friends like wanted to start playing. It was like the original we could practice during the winter location. And also like I know Axel's talked about this, but like the first time he tried guts frisbee was like at the fields between Bothwell and Spear
Yes.
Hills with like getting a frisbee thrown at like next to the fence there. And it was like so many like let's introduce someone to guts and like first get them into it moments happened at Bothwell that it's almost like there's never going to be a tournament there. Like there's never going to be serious frisbee played there, but that somehow makes it more important.
True. For me it's the birthplace of where I started, so it's always going to be special.
Yeah. I could not agree more. Again, biased, but for the
We
Marquette
understand.
community, like it meant so much.
Yes. All right. Pulling and grabbing. Here we go. Up next. Another
You know,
classic.
this is going to be interesting because I know that somewhere Tourist Park is on this list, and I kind of want to put them in different tiers, and I
Okay.
don't know which direction.
Sure.
Because there's that part of me of like, in my mind, Hurley's an S, and it might not even be correct, and I might want to change it when we get to tourist, and I'll be curious your thoughts there after. But like this was really my first like this is where frisbee tournaments happen location. Um, but there was a couple years where the setup worked out super well. Of like you would get the South Marquette folks showing up, and you could sit in the bleachers up above and watch kind of all of the games. I will say there was way less space. Like
There
you were
was. Yeah.
cramped. You could barely fit 4 or 5 field or like 5 fields. Like there was no warm up space. But the finals would be played up against the left field side, and people would sit on the hill outside the fence and watch it. So like the crowd could be bigger because there was almost that vertical aspect to it. And then there was like a weird section outside of the center field fence before the fence to like the neighborhood that turned
Mm.
into like the players' tent area.
Yep.
And so there was almost like the players' village, which when I was like 12, we didn't take advantage of because
No.
I lived 4 minutes away. But I don't know. I'm like super nostalgic goggles, but part of me wants to be like that in my brain was like the coolest spot to play frisbee in Marquette. But I'm curious your take on it.
I don't mind that. So my only memory with Hurley Field is I was we they it must have transitioned shortly after I started because the only time I ever did frisbee related things at Hurley, besides some of the few like one off, we talked about the staker practice at Hurley Field not that long ago.
Legendary.
But I never like played there. The only time I
Yeah.
was ever there for tournaments is I was young and I was like chasing after discs to bring back to fields because my parents brought me there. Um, so for me, I mean that's fun and a nostalgia thing again, but like I am totally fine tossing this bad boy up there.
Yeah, and I think like I said, I think we should pick between the two for content's sake of whether this or tourist park is an S and the other one's an A.
Well, so now
Uh,
so we're talking about it.
I was gonna say,
I can scroll up in here and
can
find it.
you find
I
it?
think so. Yeah, I think I can. Yeah, here we are.
Okay,
So
so
we're talking about it.
here's the question: is I feel like for what the sport was, Hurley Field fit perfectly, and like also something about walking to cows and like being able to just like get like a soda and a snack during like the lunch break or like, dude, one time we got beefaroo, rest in pepperoni to that
Rest in
wonderful
peace,
establishment.
dude.
But like we got beefaroo and got some cheesy fries during the lunch break.
Oh,
Oh my
oh,
god. It
yeah.
was the greatest mid frisbee tournament meal of my life. Like it was so good. But I think I'm gonna contradict myself, and I think we put Tourist Park above it. Like I don't know if they're both an S or if we move Hurley down to A,
You think? Well, here, I'll do this.
but I think Tourist Park just like it's got more space.
It does.
Which honestly, for like we could have never fit the size of the tournament that we have now at Hurley. Like as cool and nostalgic as it was, like it had a max out that just Tourist Park like dwarfs
Yeah.
in terms of growing the sport,
And the park itself is getting a little renovation, which is it's going to be larger, which is incredible.
which is great because with the team showing up to nationals, we're gonna start needing 8+ fields,
Yes.
which hopefully the new renovation A just makes it easier to get in and out, but B like increases field numbers.
Okay, I'm fine with that. I'm totally okay with
Yeah, I
this. And
left
then,
it.
again, if we want to change it, we're going to change it. So here we are pulling into this fucking mass of.
Grab bag, total
Yeah,
grab
here we
bag,
go. What do we got next? Wow, it
dude.
loves just pulling all of the Marquette locations.
Yeah, I I dude, I'm tempted to put this in C, and
I'm
there's a
okay
very
with
specific
I'm okay
reason.
with this just going directly to C.
There's one specific reason
Go on.
is this would be the greatest Guts Frisbee tournament location that we have ever played a tournament at. The work to do it would be so much, and the sport would have to be so much bigger to justify it. Of like, you can have an event that big that ruins the grass at Lower Harbor because like Beer Fest in September does this, like it's
Yeah.
trampled.
Yep.
Um, you can get a beer license, like plenty of things get it, so that you can serve alcohol officially at the venue,
Yeah.
which like the dome tournament, we did that and it worked out great.
Yep.
It is just so much logistical work of like it's a year-round planning. It would take a full team of people, but like could you imagine getting like 36 teams to play a tournament at Lower Harbor?
That'd be sick.
Like with the harbor in the background, like the ore dock for shots of like the finals, like it would be unreal. Like
Yeah.
being able to jump in the harbor, which I think isn't illegal anymore. If it is, I didn't know you could do
I,
that. Some people do it and they don't get that mad at you for it.
no, yeah, I think it's one of those like, yeah, don't, but like if you
Look the other
do,
way, but like
yeah,
if you do, like just make sure there's not boats there. But
yeah,
like I think like it would be the most preeminent in an ideal world Marquette location, and it's been so hard, and I don't think the city would ever let us. So it's a C just for like the what if potential.
yeah. It's also the field itself is at some places kind of uneven.
Oh, the entire place is
Yeah,
uneven.
so like that too.
It is
Also,
not
just the
flat at
water.
all.
How many discs would go into the water?
I think you'd have to put up the fence, which I think you have to anyways for the alcohol zone of like you
Oh,
have to
sure.
have an entrance point with people who are like certified to allow people like spectators in, etc. At that
Yeah.
point, or like have some choke point for it. Also, the rest of the things that happen at a frisbee tournament that will go unnamed, just like in that public of an eye, can't really happen
Right. Sure.
at Lower Harbor, or
Yeah.
it's harder. So like it would have to kind of have this like professional tinge to it that we don't really like as a community. I think as like a one-off, it would be super cool.
I think you get some good
Like
eyes on it because it's people
if we
walk
ever got
by
like
and
international teams
yeah.
to come to a tournament, like if we did like an independent guts open that was not affiliated with WIFTIF at all, outside of like the world championships, like I would love to have it there. Or some larger tournament, which is all speculation. There's literally nothing in the work. I'm just spitballing. But yeah, right now, all I could think of is frisbees in the water, and it's always windy.
Always windy, forever windy.
But you playing some pickup ultimate with guts players. You're going down to Lower
You're going
Harbor and
down to
playing
Lower Harbor.
barefoot.
You're damn right you are.
All right, what do we got next?
Chugging along. Pulling and grabbing.
I don't know. So I've experienced a dome tournament now,
You have.
and I feel like parts of it were spectacular. Parts of it made me want to claw my eyes out. Specifically, the giant lights that if you were on the
Yeah.
wrong field
True.
and a frisbee went up, I was just blinded.
True.
Um, I also think it gets a new. Uh, I will say A now. I don't know where you're at. I would have said B in the past. Um, the new turf is what puts it in A tier for me.
Yeah, and that is exactly where I've got two things. Noah wasn't there last year for the old turf. The old turf was bad. It was like concrete. It was thankfully it got upgraded, and it's really nice. But the second thing that I liked was, I mean, I like having those the nets that divided
Oh, those were.
because then you
They
just don't
almost just
get
need to
hit
be.
with frisbees.
They need to be bigger. Is the
Yeah.
only
Well,
thing
right.
of
Yeah.
like. You'd lose the occasional disc over it, but like, yeah, dude, that was so nice
Yeah.
in terms of keeping frisbees in your area and like not having discs roll onto your field.
Yes.
The only other negative I'll say was like the crowd atmosphere that you come to expect of like the close proximity at a frisbee tournament. Just with like you can't like it was super cool to have like the beer garden area and like that was a fun time. You just couldn't really have that like crowd super close to you
Right.
the same way of like yeah you could bring like lawn chairs and stuff but like the no food or drink on the turf which makes complete sense
Yeah.
just like it's a different environment, and I don't think it like reaches the peak of what our sport is.
I agree. And also, I mean, you get to wear cleats, and but while also not having to worry about any weather conditions whatsoever,
Yeah, that part is nice.
or like time constraints because the lights
Yeah,
are just on.
it's inside their lights
Yeah,
on.
right. Sweet. I'm okay with A. I mean, it could end up being like one of the lower
A's,
A's.
yeah,
Yeah,
but
but I'm
it's
cool with starting there. And then we move right along. What comes out of the bag next? Hello.
which I think it's called Agassi Field, if
That
I'm
that might be
remembering
right.
correctly from old with a Z at the end. It's like Agassiz Field. But I I want your opinions first on this one before
Some
I
of
talking ear off.
Some of my earliest, so before I started branching out to like Wisconsin and US Go, um,
The classic UP only guts player.
correct. And so some of my earliest memories of traveling to frisbee tournaments was on this field. And so for me, it's kind of a nostalgia thing, but I also just liked the venue. So for me, this is either above the dome in A or below Hurley Field in S.
I think it's below Hurley Field in S.
Okay, and I'm totally fine with that.
And there's a few reasons for that for me. One of them is just like also the reason that UP kids just go to UP tournaments when you're younger of like having to go to Braden's parents when he's 16 and be like, "Can your son accompany me, his friend who's 19, and his middle school principal to Wisconsin for the weekend for a frisbee tournament?" is a crazy ask.
Wild
Um,
sentence when said out loud.
yeah, but like, first of all, I don't know. Anytime you get closer to Eagle Harbor for Guts Frisbee, feels like you're
True.
returning to the birthplace more.
Yes.
And Calumet was like the closest thing to that of like we were at, and we'll talk about like the Hancock driving park when we get there, but like we're at like closer to the original like Guts Frisbee place. Also, um, Bucky's Party Store exists in Calumet,
True.
and that's a legend. I have been in there like twice, and I feel like it's just a solid party store. But we used to joke of like their motto should be Bucky's Party Store, where the party's in the store, or Bucko's, sorry, Bucko's Party
Hell
Store, where the
yeah.
party's in the store, and they don't like they have a commercial now, and it's not the motto, and we get really sad.
Oh.
But like all of my memories of what makes the IFT happened at this field. And it's like I feel like it's a lot like equal parts where we became a team and like a lot of really fun memories. Also, it was just like, dude, playing on a football field was so nice. Like the
Yeah.
fact that the town of Calumet let us use it and tear up the football field in July was crazy. But it was like we had 9 fields.
Yeah.
Like it was nuts, and we could have fit more. Like it was 9 comfortable. Um,
Yeah, because
and
we
like we
fit
got to play.
12 in the dome. So,
Yeah,
yeah, we had
so like
plenty of
yeah,
room.
12 was
Yeah.
very easily possible. It was like we got to play like Japan on that field
Yeah.
and like all these other cool core memories. So I completely agree. I think it's got to be a hallmark.
I agree. So, and now you mentioned it. I think I'll just find it. We just talked. I feel like these kind of go hand in hand. I think I got it. Yep. So I'll let you start this one off.
Dude, it's a mixed bag. I my first Guts Frisbee memory is at this field. Like it was my first tournament was played there because we went back to the Hancock Driving Park after we stopped playing at Agassi Field.
Sure.
Um, I have two complaints that makes me want to put it at the bottom of A, and
Okay.
maybe up in B. It will kind of depend on the other tournaments, but and they're nothing that the people who run the tournament can do. Like it's just that part of Hancock is so gosh darn windy all the time.
True. That's true.
Even more than like Calumet. Like the Keweenaw in general is just a windy place, but like, dude, it's so windy on that bluff.
Oh, and
Like,
you know how
my
much we love wind
God.
here on the Bag Zone podcast.
And the second thing is that field gets so much use of like youth baseballs there. They have like a hardball, which is like adult like men's baseball leagues there. Like I think there's softball leagues that use it. The fields just gets beat up. Like by the time that we play there, like there was one year it was just like a dust bowl. Um,
I thought that was more like worms related, like
what they had like
grubs,
mites or something
something. Yeah,
that
something like
they had to like
chewed
they
up
had
the
to
grass.
debug the grass, but like it's also just happened before of like yeah, the grass gets beat down over the summer, and then like we're allowed to go in and tear it up really bad. But tourist isn't any better for this, but like we're working on it. Like diving there just sucks, and it's like you get a little dirt inhalation. So that I think with the fact that it's so windy, to me puts it closer to like the bottom part of A.
I feel like I want to put it above the dome though because we're outside and we get that you get those
And
guts
that I'm totally fine
memories.
with.
Okay.
Also, there is no Bill at the dome, and Bill shows up to the
True.
Hancock driving park.
That is a fact. Yes.
So
I
yeah, I think put it in like the middle of A for now, with the dome at the bottom of A,
yeah,
and then we'll kind of work from there.
I'm totally fine with that.
All right, what do we got next?
Next, we have
So this is an S tier.
yes, like instantly for me, like
like for anyone
instantly.
who doesn't immediately know Waterworks Park, you're probably not from the UP or Dave Brown, um, who is half from the UP at this point. But this is where the I don't even know the official name because to me it's still just the Keweenaw
I think it
Classic.
is just the Keweenaw Classic.
Um, but it's the like end of year hat tournament that they
Oh
always put on
yeah,
in the
dude.
Keweenaw. And it's like Waterworks Park, it's up there. Like you have to go past Calumet, turn on a
Oh,
county road,
you're up there.
and you will miss the turn at least once or twice in your life.
Luke and I got lost. I think the first 3 times we tried to get to this tournament.
Yeah, and Luke and I got lost the year before.
Yeah,
Like
so
it's hard to find. Once you get there though, like it's a pretty secluded park with a big field and a really nice gazebo. Like there's a little beach there if it's a hot year. Is it windy sometimes? Sure. It's the
sure.
Keweenaw.
Yeah.
But like to me it's the most pure form of just UP guts of like Billy's making some wapatuli, like Ron's grilling food,
Oh,
like we take
dude.
a lunch break in the middle of the day, and it's like the most casual until it's not casual Saturday afternoon of Guts Frisbee. Of like you drive up Saturday morning, you play all day, you drive back at dusk, and like
Yeah.
everyone's sweating and smiling by the end of it. Of like it's just the most pure. Like we got together to do something fun with no strings, like no serious. This doesn't mean anything version of Frisbee possible.
It's so great. Yeah, it's such like it's just the vibes are great there all the time. Regardless, it could be pouring, it could be windy, it could be the
I think
most
it
ideal day of for frisbee
I
ever.
think it has been pouring
Yes,
before,
it
and everyone
has.
was like, "Dude, that was fun to play in the rain," and I'm the only insane person who thinks it's fun to play in the rain normally.
But like it doesn't matter what is happening, the vibes at the Keweenaw Classic and that field are incredible every time you're there.
Yeah, that's like a Guts bucket list item of, like, if you haven't made it to one and it's feasible, you have to
Yeah,
do it, like, it's
true.
so much fun.
That is true. Moving
Alright,
on,
what is to follow up that S tier field?
we've got Ohauser.
Current Wisco location.
Yes.
Um, I I will let you go first because I'm either gonna say something that is like, "Oh, I'm stepping in line," or super controversial, but I think it's gonna lean towards controversial.
So for me, it's just a frisbee field. But also the vibes are great because it's like it's the first major of the year, and we're back in
Whisk,
tournament play. You
you
know,
like it kicks off the year so
it
well.
does, and the field size is really nice, and I don't mind the layout, and it's just like the park it's in is great. So for me, this is it's just like it's a solid field. So for me, this is either like I don't know, it's either an A or B for me.
I want to go top of B. I
Okay.
think is where I was leaning. So I don't think it's an A field currently. And the only reason I say that is because I remember two reasons. I remember the old Wisco, which we'll get to, and I'm comparing it to that. The other thing is there is a beach volleyball court that we have never used, and I bring a volleyball every year,
God, you're
and no
right.
one plays with me, and I get really sad. So it's
Well,
another lost potential situation.
we're gonna have to get to it this year then.
Dude, it's gonna be I think that's the best Saturday warm up of
A
like
little
no
beach
one's taking it
volleyball.
that serious yet. Yeah, get a little sandy before we play some guts.
Yeah. So for me, I don't know if you've got anything else. It's just a nice frisbee
No,
field.
very solid. Like
Which
it's the one downside I will say is retrieving discs under those pine trees
that
or
is
like they
true,
get on like the other side of the road just because like the way that the park's designed is just like it's a little bit smaller. So like disc retrieval can kind of be a mess.
but that's okay. It's just a nice field. So
Yeah, it's nice.
so speaking of, let me see if I can pull it. Yeah, I got it.
I, 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 I don't remember the name. Okay, Braden has never played here. I
No,
played here until I was like 14. Um, I remember this was the first finals I like remember because it was we had to stay late because O'Malley's lost to the Assassins.
which
It was like
classic?
the first of their many bouts because I remember me and Nick Buckley, fellow Wolf, not Wolfpack. I wish Buckley would play with the Wolfpack with us once, but Young Gun's teammate. We were
Mm.
like playing an intense 1v1 game for like 4 hours because we got eliminated at 10:30 in the morning on
Uh-huh.
Sunday. um, but the two biggest things about that park, it was another kind of similar to a Hauser, just bigger, really. But it was a soccer field, and the grass was so soft. Like
Nice.
outside of this year's like the new dome turf, I have never dove on something softer.
Nice.
Um, and then the other thing I would say is like it had really good shade, because there was a lot of
Very
trees by the
important.
park, but it was bigger than it. Basically, imagine like Ohauser but bigger, um, and with trees that gave shade instead of just like you have
Evergreens.
to go dig through some pine
Sure,
needles.
yeah. Okay.
um, but yeah, I have very fond memories. I kind of want to put it like the top of A right now.
Great.
Um,
That's where
I
to
think
go.
it was a. I don't know if it was more expensive or if it was just way more out of the way. But what I do remember from it was great, and I would not be surprised if some older guys players were like, "Dude, that place was terrible for like X, Y, and Z reason," and I'm like, "I don't remember any of that."
Yeah, I've got. I mean, I've never played there, so I'm just gonna.
I also don't even remember the name of the park, but I
No,
remember what
right.
it looked like.
Yeah. So speaking of moving on, uh, current USGO,
Current USGO,
current
right?
USGO.
Okay. Um, current USGO. Where do I want to? It's solid. I think
It
it's just an
is.
all around solid place to play frisbee. Have you played at Grandwoods yet?
Yeah.
Have you made a Grandwoods tournament?
Yep. I think my favorite thing about it is the bathrooms that are close, not the ones you have to walk to. Uh,
The
it's
trough?
still a trough. That might
Dude,
be my favorite thing of the entire venue.
that's pretty true. The one negative I will say is it's awkwardly you like how many people use it is awkward to me.
Sure.
Because it's not quite the people like we'll get some disc golfers walking through and like check out guts, but there's also like families using it in the not like let's go check out the sport, but like what are all these people doing drinking at this park kind of way. And so I feel a little like judged for that reason. But
I mean, for me, this is right up there with uh an A with the other Wisco venue and the driving park ahead of the dome. For me, gut reaction is up in A.
yeah, I'm fine with that. I think that is
So then,
a
what if we
okay.
just like shifted the dome? And we did that.
Yeah, love
Unless
it.
you think it should be above either Hancock
No, no, I think
or
it's a perfectly fine place for it.
okay,
Um, Also, big plot twist, everyone. We're gonna part two this episode because
yeah,
this is going
it's going way too
uber
long.
long, and I'm already gonna be late for hockey.
So
So,
guess what? We're gonna stop here. When we've got a
no
few more to
question
go
of the
to.
day.
No, but
Question of the day is, what's your favorite frisbee location? People, tell us,
you let us
and maybe
know.
it'll show up if it hasn't in the comments. Also, share like your like. This is when I first remember playing frisbee at location. Like
True.
those stories are super fun.
Yes. Also, if you have any fun nicknames that you know or you like from other people, whether past, present, or maybe even future, you also let us
Let us
know.
know.
All right, ladies and gentlemen. Until next time, Noah, we're gonna figure out this one of these times.
Yeah, let's try it.
Let's do it right now. Until next time,
Go
go
get
get
it.
it.
So close.